hospital. When you get there, just as NIPHIL is saying, report yourself, you will be taken care of. And you can see we have 0 deaths, right? So please be confident that we can get it, take care and handle it. You have been scared and sent us many questions regarding what's going on in Sierra Leone. It is of concern to us. Last year we paid a visit to Sierra Leone. The NIPHIL here visited the border at all waterside and various border points around the country in order to strengthen our border surveillance, right? Just as we have the border guys, we the health and public health people, we also have border people there at the borders to see who's coming in the country, what they have, what they don't have, and if they have any symptom of anything, we isolate them and begin to treat them if we find something. So we went there to strengthen that, and we went across the border to our Sierra Leonean brothers and sisters and exchanged messages, told them what we were doing in Liberia with our response, the strategies and the tactics that we were using. I am in constant contact with Dr. Fode Saab, who is the Executive Director of the National Public Health Agency, a very nice brother. We exchange text messages, we call each other every time to exchange information, and we send them a letter also to extend our helping hand in terms of diagnostics and in terms of genetic sequencing. Genetic sequencing is another technology that we brought into the country that is helping us with our response. It helps us to know what is circulating. You remember during COVID time, they were saying COVID, Omicron, COVID this, COVID that. Now they have monkeypox this, MPOX that. So we used to send our samples outside long time ago, but when we brought that technology in, Liberian young scientists that we are training are now capable of detecting and knowing what we have. Through that, in Liberia, we did our sampling and we know that our test results show we have MPOX clade 1, MPOX clade 2A and clade 2B. So clade means type, that's all. In simple terms, it means type. We have MPOX clade 2A and clade 2B. Sierra Leone has clade 2A. Now, in our neighboring country, they currently have 14 deaths. Because most of you have posed these questions and we say wait until we address you before we can show you the differences so that we don't treat it one by one. We have 0 deaths. In neighboring Sierra Leone, they have the new cases that they detected just recently, or they came across, are 111. We got about 5 or 6 to 10 cases just recently. The total active cases, remember our active cases presently are 25. The total active cases in our sister country are 1,904, and this data is of May 21st. We share data with each other so that we know what's going on. So yesterday, as part of our response efforts, I, along with leadership of the NIPHIL, led a response team including the Ministry of Health, the case management, the infection control, and the diagnostics, and other public health responders, including our division for epidemiology, infectious disease and epidemiology. We went to the border. That was our second time visiting there. Remember, we went there before, and we shared experience with them again, expressed our concern about the situation there, and told them anytime you have too many cases and you are overwhelmed, we are right here across the border. Send some of them, those samples, we can test them for you and send you back the results immediately. If you want sequencing done on them, we can do the genomic sequencing and send them back to you. So you don't have to spend too much money to fly those samples all the way to Senegal or Nigeria to do that, because you can just drive right across the border to us and we can do that for you. So Liberia offer that service. The Africa CDC knows of our activities. I presented to the Africa CDC, which is the African Center for Disease Control, the continental public health entity on our continent, and presented these findings and this data to them. We discussed that. We are currently responding, and we are doing everything possible to increase our response. What we want to indicate is that the public and the population should remain calm, do not panic, rest assured that we are handling and dealing with the MPOX virus very vigorously. And we are doing everything possible to ensure that it does not blow out of proportion like it is in the Central African countries, in DR Congo. Look at your statistics, you know what's going on there. In Nigeria, in our region, and Ghana, I just started picking up cases again as well. Ivory Coast right next to us, I started picking up cases. And guess what? The West Africa Health Organization contacted Liberia to go to the Ivory Coast and exchange information and strategy with the Liberian public health authorities. And we did that sometimes this year, early this year. It was sponsored by WAHU, thanks to Dr. Lokuso and his team at WAHU that sponsored it. Why? Because they saw us doing the same thing with Sierra Leone, so they asked us, able to do it with Ivory Coast. We said, sure, and they sponsored that. The next one, we want to do it along with Guinea so that we can do a Mana River Union exchange of information. So currently that's where we are. That is the difference between what we are doing here in terms of the response, the numbers that are coming up, and what you have been asking us about through the text messages and emails, what's going on in neighboring Sierra Leone. I know we are all afraid because of what happened during Ebola, but we have learned lessons from that, and we are doing everything possible to address the situation from the National Public Health Institute in collaboration with other agencies, mainly the Ministry of Health. So again, to summarize, we have 0 deaths. Nobody has died since we started responding to this. We have 25 active cases. Our neighbor have 14 deaths and 1,904 active cases. It does not please us because when we first reported, we were praying in our IMS meeting that we hope it comes down. At that time, they just had few cases. And we started our response before that. So we're really praying, and that's why we offer our help to them. Anything that they need, we are there, we are ready to supply it. As you know, the National Public Health Institute was designated by the Africa CDC as a regional center of excellence from what we have been doing. So they evaluate all the NIPHILs around and they give us a grade. We need to tell you that Liberia's public health currently under our leadership is on top of this game. We are not saying we are the best and the best and the best. There's a lot to learn, and we humble ourselves to learn it, but we appreciate if we are classified in certain good areas and we can build up upon that. Now with that good classification, we are using it also to help the others because that places upon us the responsibility to do same. We want to thank the Liberian government, headed by His Excellency Joseph Waka and his able deputy, Honorable Jeremiah Kuhn, our Vice President, and everyone in the government, the Health Committee in the Senate and the Health Committee in the House of Representatives, where we recently also provided an update that have been helping and have been concerned. We need more resources in order to continue this good work that we are doing with all the difficulties that we are having, so that government can take hold of its own health and public health response. These resources, we need them for public health response and for health care. So I stand here to ask the government for more resources, budgetary augmentations for NIPHIL and for the Ministry of Health. If we don't take care of our own situation, no one will take care of it for us. One other thing that I wanted to announce is the issue of influenza. You know what we call flu, right? Somebody here that we have flu. There's human flu and there's what we call bird flu. Sometimes ago it was announced by Rogers News Agency, and I'm saying this at this forum, that Liberia has outbreak of bird flu. And you know what that means for any country. Country's image, economy particularly so, since we have our own little poultry farm that export poultry products. Where that information came from, we investigated, we worked along with the Central Veterinary Lab, we tested the samples, and I can tell you the National Public Health Institute has the capacity to launch any scientific investigation under our watch, and we can produce results that are internationally validated. We tested samples, they were negative, and so we announced to the world that Liberia, so far, from the government standpoint, does not have bird flu in this country. We did our rounds and went to public farms also to ask people, are you I mean, just that practical thing, instead of just sitting and doing statistics. And people, nobody is reporting that their poultry, their chickens are dying. Nobody is reporting that. So where did this information come from? If you heard me on OKFM recently, somebody had written and posed that question, and Julius J read it out. In fact, the callers also indicated that they didn't know anything about bird flu in this country. Those who even had the little poultry farm were saying all their chickens were alive. The other young person made a joke that our chicken just went to sleep because it was already in the evening, in the afternoon. So nothing like that in this country. We are calling on through this media, not just news agencies and other news agencies that reported that, to please correct their news, and the correction should also go to the World Organization of Animal Health. So that's the status of MPOX in the country, and I wanted to also announce to you that from the test we did on the samples we took from the CDL, we didn't find anything in that, and we will not be the one to say anything in the direction that was reported. They were negative, and we don't have bird flu in this country. If you have bird flu, humans will be catching it because it translates to humans. You see how we have MPOX, right? As we said, it's zoonotic, it comes from animals. So bird flu also can be zoonotic, it can come from animals, those birds, it can come to humans, and you will see humans, we start having human cases. We regularly surveillance for influenza, and we have not even seen that. It's not something we just go to test for because somebody announced it, but regularly we test for it, and we have not seen it. So thank you very much. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to the Liberian people in the world for listening. Any help that any organization has out there, we would highly appreciate it for the Ministry of Health and for public health entities to respond to this outbreak that has been announced by the WHO and World Health Organization. Thank you very much.
And thanks to Dr. Chris Dubwagan for that detailed presentation. You don't know what the country is in terms of the fight against MPOX. How strong we are, zero fatality, strong recovery cases, and what have you. We'll take Councilor Ama, and then we'll get to all the questions we have. Councilor Ama will speak. His presentation will be very concise, I can assure you.
Good afternoon. Honorable Jeremy Mafia. Honorable Jeremy Mafia and your able deputies, J. Johnny Tapa, Danny Sando, Abiatu Dips, Acting Assistant Minister Famale,